In this tutorial I'm going to give a quick overview of the new Orthopanel tools in VRGS. This is as of version 2.44. So load up your data, and the first thing we need to do is make a structural interpretation. So I'm going to go to Interpretations, Dip Azimuth, and I'm just going to put in a bedding measurement along 3 points, and there's our structural measurement. Now this will give us an orientation that we can align our orthopanel to. So I'll go to Orthopanels here in the Interpretation tab, click the main part of the button, and this is generate an orthopanel from 1 point, and that 1 point has to be a structural measurement, and it will create the orthopanel to match the strike of the structural measurement that you've put in. So that means you're looking down dip, so you get an ortho-corrected view of the dip section. Once we've got our orthopanel, we need to set it up to give us the correct coverage. So if I double click on it, it becomes active, and we get the blocks at the ends of the orthopanel, and then if we use the mouse wheel we can move the position of the orthopanel. Now the orthopanel only projects data that's in front of it. Anything that's behind it doesn't get projected onto it at the moment. So we can move our orthopanel into a position that's in front of everywhere that we want to appear on the orthopanel. It will automatically move it along the orientation of the dip azimuth that we put in, so it maintains the correct orientation. Then we can go to our data tab and we need to select regenerate, and it will regenerate the orthopanel. Now what's happened is we've lost some stuff that's in the distance. To correct that, we go into the orthopanel properties and we can change the clip plane. So this is how far behind and in front of the panel that it projects the data. So it's the far clip that we're interested in, so I'm going to change that from 65 to 100, and then we do a regenerate, and you see now we've got that far data in there as well. We might think that the resolution is not too great on this. We can change that. We can change the pixel size on the orthopanel. So at the moment we're at 5 centimeters. I can change it to 2.5 centimeters. Regenerate, and you see we've got an improvement in resolution on the orthopanel. So once we're happy with our orthopanel, double click on it to get rid of the active markers. Then I'm just going to do a regenerate to make sure everything's set correctly on the orthopanel. Now we can do a double click and we get a 2D window, image window, that has the orthopanel in it. The north-south arrow is incorrect on the orthopanel. It shouldn't be plotted on it. So we could actually switch that off in, go to the home view, switch off the north arrow. And actually while we're doing it, I'm going to change the orthopanel as well to not use lights. So select the orthopanel, switch off use lights, and then do the regenerate, and the north arrow will disappear, and it takes out the lighting effects of the 3D model, so we just get what's in the photograph data, in the image data. So we can again double click, brings up our orthopanel. We can view the orthopanel side by side with the 3D model. You see the orthopanel is viewed from the other direction in the 2D window. If we want to change that, when the 2D window is active, we can just select flip image X to get it in the right position. Now if we go back to our 3D window, we're going to switch the orthopanel off, and here's our 3D model. If I interpret on the 3D model, you can see the position automatically appears on the orthopanel. so you can see where you're interpreting. If we go onto our ortho panel, as we move the mouse around, you can see that it shows you a laser pointer that maps the position of the cursor on the ortho panel into the 3D view. So if we look over here, see this bit here, this sort of ridge. If I move the cursor onto that, you can see the laser pointer appears on that ridge. Now the laser pointer projects through the model, which is why in this case we're seeing multiple laser pointer positions. So the laser pointer goes straight through the model. So we can see if we're interpreting here what there is behind that outcrop in the 3D model. So as well as interpreting on the 2D, 3D window, we can also interpret on our 2D window, and that will appear on the 3D window as well. Again, double click to finish. Now we have to be careful when we're interpreting on the 2D window, because it can only get the positions as accurate as the size of the pixels on the screen. So you need to make sure you're zoomed in, and then we can map positions, and we see them appear again on the 3D view. We have reset view, zoom in, zoom out. We can also zoom in and zoom out using the mouse wheel. In the data tab, if we open up our ortho panel, we also have some attributes, so we can look at our depth map. So that's the distance from the ortho panel to the object in the 3D view. You can look at your individual red, green and blue color channels as well if you want to. We can also do some basic image processing, so this is really in development stage. So we have a Sobel edge detector. You see it picks out some very strong edges in some places. At the moment you can't set the parameters for the edge detector, but that will come in the next release. And we also have some other things, so we can change the brightness of the image as well. So let's just reset the image, and we can select brightness and modify that. Again, we can't set the parameters just yet. That will come in the next release, and also you'll be able to chain the different image processing steps together. Of course, you can flip the model in the Y direction as well. So while we're looking at the ortho panels, I'll just run through the other options for generating the ortho panels. So we have the ortho panel here. You'll see there's this line coming out the back of it. That's the projection direction. So anything that's on this side of the ortho panel gets projected onto it. So switch that off. Other options for generating your ortho panels are interpretations. It's a split button, so the extended versions are from 2 points, and that will generate an ortho panel with 2 points. In this case, it's facing the wrong direction, so all we have to do to remedy that is go to our ortho panel, and we can add or subtract 180 to the direction to get it into the right orientation. So if I subtract, so if I make this we need to then regenerate that ortho panel. There it is, now facing in the right direction, and we've projected correctly onto it. If we want to do a more oblique orientation, we can generate an ortho panel from 3 points. That's good for doing aerial views. As well as changing the pixel size, you can also modify the width and the height of the ortho panel in here. So I'm going to do 20 by 20, and once I've done that, I would do a regenerate, and that gives us a different view of our data. Again, that can be put into a 2D window. So again, that can be put into a 2D window, and we can have our side-by-side view of the data. Okay, so that's the basics of the interactive orthopanels.